my name is Natasha Beaudoin. I'm a fourth year studying fine art at Queen's. I have a minor in art history. I'm originally from Oakville, Ontario, but obviously I'm studying in Kingston right now. A little bit backstory about myself. I have an English language disability, and so one way that they got me to start communicating is using my images, and that progressed into my art form. And then I got really into high school because where I had the lack of ability to communicate with like essay writing or just in general, I would use art form to express myself and my interest, and then that progressed into my career now, where it's like I express like what my study is, like my thesis as a whole is what my interests are, and where I can't really communicate it properly, I feel like my images create this whole story where I'm lacking. Generally, I really like figures. Figure drawing is like a huge thing. I really love like engagement of people. I feel people are very interesting, like this like emotional expression and everything. I also say I'm really into like pop culture and like social media. Generally like interests of like going on around the world. So like regarding like just like silly topics like a funny image I saw, or just like common themes I've seen like among my friends. So a lot of like personal stories that I like to express in my work. So yeah. Yeah, so kind of just starts with like a general feeling I have. So this concept began like actually the end of March. It was during like a self-reflection of during COVID time. That I was realizing like how, especially on TikTok, how people were acting like this against my generation. It was just kind of embarrassing, just like the cancel culture activating and just like the general like negative demeanor really inspired me. So then during the summer, I was really researching about like different papers and people who actually studied like different generations like cultures and like the collective behaviorism of each one. And then how one generation led to another. So like how, like say people born from the 1920s, how like each generation progressively afterwards have like slightly altered and changed the different behaviors of like what is now, as well like certain pop culture like or like some big time eras that occurred. So like say like 9/11 was a big one, the 2008 recession, if you're talking about like modern days, even just like the invention of the iPhone, like had a big revolution like aspect of our life. So just things like that. And then from there, I go on my friendly app named Pinterest and start collecting ideas and making mood boards of like, oh, I really like this idea. So for this one specifically, I was really looking at like Y2K aesthetic, like a lot of video game references, like collage aspects, as well as like the new mix between like the digital era to like the old like 70s style like graphic design. So that kind of collectively made like all these works together, and obviously like pop culture like memes and stuff and like general humor of our generation really like influenced the format and how I present things. Same with like this painting here. The color palette is like reminiscent of like deep frying an image, which is like, if you don't know what that is, it's when an image is like screenshotted with a filter progressively over and over again, where the saturation and it becomes so altered where you can't recognize it. So. Like I said before, it was kind of like a self-revelation about like things that are wrong with our generation. Like, I feel that we're so quick to blame everyone else, like, oh, it's your fault, like we're like this and it's this and that, and like we don't really take the time, like we're kind of toxic as we're ourselves. Some of the stuff I want to talk about, some overarching things, is especially the idea of narcissism. We're very narcissistic. It's very much all about me, especially how we present ourselves on social media. We all want to be individualistic, and we feel like the need to sell oneself, and that kind of gets overarching to the point where like it's like we get consumed about how people perceive us. Like we're painting a different picture, like completely different to our real lives, and it's just like it's fake. It's obviously very fake, and I'm poking fun at like that aspect, as well as like the lack of creativity. Not necessarily now, but I'm going more into like how we've been oversaturated with information and how like we've been raised, we're like in a childistic manner. We're kind of just told that we're done no wrong and that we're perfect, and like as long as you try, like that's the best you can do. And like we're not really ready for the real world because of that. Like it's like a switch and you're like, whoa, like, and then you just break down, you can't handle it. So I have that's a great fear of mine. Like I've always known like life is going to be hard for me with a disability. So like I've always had that idea, like I have to work hard because like everyone else is working way harder than me. So like that was an underlying theme. But now I've caught up to everyone else, and now I see everyone falling behind me, and I am like trying to bring back that stigmatism. But the way I'm presenting things is a lot more lighthearted manner, thankfully so. So a lot of it's kind of like, I want to bring the idea of nostalgia. So like opening like a deep, hard memory of ours. So like this one is from when we used to play in the computer room when you finished like whatever your typing class, you play Kid Pix or Math Circus. And I remember like my class, we would love to like mess up with the little baby's face. So that was this. It also goes with the pop culture aspect of like memes and formatting. But then these ones are like very the Y2K aesthetic, like the love of social media, and like the same with like stickers. I remember like there's glue and stickers everywhere on my pieces, and this coloring, like some of them I'm going to put glitter on. That one I'm threading with actual like copper wiring from motherboards. So like this is like the idea of technology influences on us. Jam Man has like been, especially with these prints, that's very similar to her work. I must admit it is a bit of an influence. Hannah Reinhard, she is, I believe she's studying in, like she's from New York. She does like these figure drawings that are like in color palettes of orange and blue, but she uses beading and sequins to like glue on, but they all like are in the same color hue. And I freaking adore that. I'm like, because I used to bedazzle my figure skating dresses to save money. So I would buy a dress on eBay. I was like, oh, that's like a reminiscent of my childhood, what I used to do. So I was like, I'm definitely going to incorporate that with my other work. So I plan to live here to do more work. I'm going to continue this thesis, and I plan for during the fall of this time to apply to different grad schools. As I plan for like the future, my hope is to become a professor. I do have a love of teaching. I teach like a lot of like first aid classes, and I love just like expressing my knowledge to other people. So I didn't want to teach like a high school level because I feel that if I had like a second teachable, I would be stuck in there. Art is kind of a dying like class type. I remember like in my primary school, like there was no classroom. Art was on a cart and that was it. There was no teacher for it. And so, which is like sad how it is, but I hope, and also like people in university have a greater passion for it. And I like, a lot of it's like stuck with the traditional values, and I hope to bring like an untraditional like aspect to it. So I feel like, especially like the changing the ways, I feel like that will be like more up to the times.